Because my mom at the time, I think she was making this prawn soup. I was standing next to the pot. I couldn't smell anything. The moment I saw the 2 lines, I was just like, oh no. Really? Are you serious? And I checked back. I remember I looked back at the manual, just make sure, is 2 lines positive or negative? Am I, what is this? I think, looking back on my entire experience, like I mentioned, I was scared, right? I was scared, I was confused. And I think that's normal. Hi guys, my name is Ian. I'm 24 this year and I'm a social sciences student. Initially, I had a really bad runny nose. This has been going on for about 2-3 days. And I thought at the time was because I get really bad allergies. I took a Claritin, my runny nose clears up. All of a sudden I realized I can't smell. Right? Because my mom at the time, I think she was making this prawn soup, like when you boil like prawn heads and everything into one. I was standing next to the pot. I couldn't smell anything. I could feel the heat, no smell, nothing. First thought was, okay, maybe it's COVID. And the second thought immediately was, no way it's COVID. The moment I saw the 2 lines, I was just like, oh no. Really? Are you serious? And I checked back, I remember I looked back at the manual, just make sure, is 2 lines positive or negative? And obviously it's very chaotic at that time because your mind is still trying to process, yes, I have COVID. I would say there was a lot of confusion, a lot of panic. Because my dad just retired, he's about 60 plus, so obviously he's at risk. My mom is a little bit less, but 50 plus. So obviously I was very concerned about that. It's because I actually went out and got the vaccine. Then yeah, my symptoms, even though I got it, they were relatively mild. Oh, I Googled it. I gotta admit, the MOH website is pretty good. It sort of listed out all the steps I need to do. So it told me where I can go get a PCR, right? Which clinics. Thankfully, there's one nearby. But I think they're a lot simpler, right? They sort of combined everything down, and that made things a lot easier to understand. The first few days for me were pretty tough, I would say, because I'm a pretty social person. I like talking to people. I like being around people. That's where I get energy from. But being put in a room for, with no human contact whatsoever, that's just the worst feeling ever. Overall, my parents were very supportive throughout the whole thing, even emotionally, even mentally. Right? They would call, once or twice a day, just video chat. I would get caught up in a way with what was going on in the wider world, the family, right? Well, thankfully, there was still a lot of work from school and my own internship to be done. Everything's online now. That took my mind off of it. I think that helped me. Once you sort of get into a routine, once you start filling up your time with doing basically your normal life, except now you're in a room, then things got a little bit easier. My mom had made dumplings, right? Chinese dumplings that you boil. And Chinese, traditionally, when we have dumplings, we have vinegar by the side with it. And I just remember, as I was taking the plate in, I put it down on the table, and then I can smell the vinegar. It was very faint, I remember this, but I was just like, I was so excited. But I was just like, yes, I can smell it, and I got really excited about that because, it's coming back, and I knew I was starting to recover, and that was a huge booster for me, I think. I started seeing, I wouldn't say the bright side of getting COVID, but you start seeing the little things that you take for granted, and it makes you a bit more grateful for them. Thankfully, they didn't show symptoms. That was very good, and they took ART tests. They came out negative, but even then, you still take precautions. But they were okay, and that was something I'm very, very thankful for. I would recommend, just having that conversation with your family and saying, look, if one of us tests positive, because it's an increasingly likelihood, what are the things that we have to do immediately, right? So everybody's on the same page in terms of protocol. When I went out to the clinic, my parents were disinfecting basically where I'd been. So they were taking Clorox and everything just to clean it, right? And so my dad went out and bought huge those 1.5 liter bottles. He bought like 6 or something. And then he just said, put this in your room because every day, this is going to be your drinking water, right? I didn't even think about that. In Singapore, we sort of take drinking water for granted. Ever since the government simplified everything down to the 1, 2, 3 protocol, just go read up on it. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, or you know of your friends or your family who haven't gotten vaccinated yet, but they can, I would recommend doing it. I was vaccinated. My parents were also fully vaccinated. I think that's part of the reason why, even though I had it, my symptoms were very mild, and my parents didn't catch it, even though it's been 2 or 3 days where I've been showing symptoms. It's not just about you, it's also about protecting your family, protecting your friends, protecting people around you, and I think that's just really important. Be thankful for the internet. I'm kidding. No, that is one of the things I've learned, but I would say just be grateful, right? Like even small things, like grateful for my parents, grateful for for drinking water, for my sense of smell, right? You never know how much you miss it until you lose it. I think, looking back on my entire experience, like I mentioned, I was scared, right? I was scared, I was confused, and I think that's normal. And so it's natural, I think, to be a little bit fearful about it. You get COVID, right? And of course, not touch wood, you don't. But if you do get COVID, there are a lot of support systems out there. You don't need to be scared. Just follow the protocol, and there will be support that's provided that will help you recover quickly.